under the same moon, we share the love. Embracing the differences like hand in glove. Spreading peace and joy, it's a beautiful sight. Together we shine in each other's light. And now do we stand in love's pure might. Watching the world share in love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.
The President of the United States is taking aim at birthright citizenship. We're going to get into that today. What does it mean with the executive order, especially after we had the developments with the Supreme Court? Today, we're going to peer right into this story and find out what's happening. See, we have Sophie's World here. This Sunday, we will have her on the show. She's going to talk about a health issue that came up. It stemmed for her to actually go to Russia for treatment. It's going to be an amazing show for a great Sunday morning program. I look forward to that. I want to thank you guys for all the support as we cover the hottest topics today in the news. So let's get started with the President of the United States, President Trump. Hit the like button, share, and subscribe, because a lot of people have been wondering what's the whole ticket with this birthright citizenship. Thank you.
Our President Trump is speaking now in the Oval Office at an executive order signing. Let's listen in.
Do you have anything to say about that?
Sir, I think you need to put this in the context of everything else that's happening. Manufacturing productivity is the highest it's been in years. We haven't seen any growth like this for forever. Under President Biden, the last part of his presidency, he lost 220,000 manufacturing jobs. The president has stabilized this. Now the manufacturing.
All right. So he says Joe Biden, President Biden, was falling off. But when it comes to President Trump, he's turned things around. What do you guys think in regards to this?
Manufacturing jobs are going up. So all of these indicators on manufacturing are happening. And it's because of tariffs. It's because of trade actions. It's because of the investment credits you've given people, the tax credits. Everything you're doing, the energy policy, all of it is bringing manufacturing back here, protecting American workers and American jobs.
Well, tariffs are bringing us hundreds of billions of dollars worth of dollars. I mean, just money, the money that we've never seen anything like it, with no inflation. By the way, everyone said, oh, there'll be inflation. We have very low inflation. We brought inflation way down. I inherited the worst inflation in the history of our country. They say 48 years, but I say the history of our country, and from the Biden administration, and we're bringing it way down. So the numbers I mean, beyond the money being.
Okay, so you heard it from the President of the United States. What say ye, Deborah? What do you guys think? Do you think the president is actually delivering on the words that he speak? Put a 1 in the chat if you agree and you see in our economy the things that he's just spoken about and more. Put a 1 if you agree with the president. Put a 2 if not. Let's see what you guys have to say.
Brought in. The number of factories being built in our country is more now than we have ever seen before. There's never been anything like it. And you're going to see the results. And you're seeing the results already in construction jobs, because they're being built all over the country. But in another year, as they start to open, there's never been, we call it the golden age of America, and that's what it is. Now, if we could talk, Steve, maybe you could discuss what we're dealing with on birthright citizenship. We had a very unfortunate decision in the Supreme Court concerning birthright. It was close, but a very, very unfortunate decision.
So the president is not happy with the results of the birthright. He's going to actually break it down in regards to how the birthright decision was actually tied for children of slaves that were here in the United States to give them citizenship. But he's not happy with other individuals coming from other countries. Sometimes he mentions about the wealthy. This is their way. They call it citizenship tourism, where they plan to have the child while here in the United States. And then after that, everybody gets a free ride off of the child being a United States citizen. What do you think about that? Tell us about it in the comments.
So we're making adjustments because it's very unfair. This was done for a different reason. This was done right after the Civil War. This was for the babies of slaves.
I'm always amazed by Miller. Miller is definitely changing the United States for years to come. Okay.
And what's happening now, people are building business.
Oh my God. Matt, come on, Matt. Matt says, I'm confused. Trump wants to send his wife and kids back to Russia. Oh my.
Businesses around it from wealthy people are building businesses around birthright citizenship. That's not the way it's supposed to work. It's a disgrace. They're buying their way in, and we're not going to let it happen. So, Steve, if you will, please.
Yes, so today the president signed these 2 executive orders here.
Well, we know Steve is aware of it, but in a way, the president is making a real solid point. He's making a good point. I know people don't want to hear that.
Relating to birthright citizenship and birth tourism. As the president mentioned.
Hey, listen, I travel a lot. I just came back from Egypt, and about 3 weeks before that, I was in Turkey. I go back in 2 weeks, right? When you go to other countries, they don't even let you move around without somebody questioning your activity or looking at you weird. When I went to Dubai, there's no public displays of affection. There's so many rules. So is it fair to say that here in the United States, we need to have more rules about people just coming into the country? Or do you think the way the program is set up is just fine?
The 14th Amendment was passed exclusively in the aftermath of the Civil War so to ensure that the children of slaves would be citizens. It had no other meaning and purpose outside of that. And that's been clear, obviously, since the day that it was passed. You can go back and you can read the congressional debates. This is not something that's even seriously contested by anybody.
Actually, in an earlier recording, I have the president of the United States saying that the way that the birthright citizenship is being treated, it's a disservice to Black people living in America. Have you heard that? He actually said it, right? So that's what he stated as being a premise as to a part of this new executive order. Although many people feel like it's much deeper than that. What do you guys think? That's what we care about.
The president is using his authority as commander-in-chief to sign first an executive order using the new ruling the Supreme Court issued to expand the definitions of people who are ineligible for birthright citizenship. That includes, for example, alien enemies of the United States, members of foreign terrorist organizations, and large categories of people who lobby and act on behalf of foreign governments. And so with taking this action, it ensures that large numbers of people who wrongly would be getting birthright citizenship will no longer be eligible for those benefits. The second action that he's taking, which is especially historic, is for the first time ever in American history to ban birth tourism. So I want you to really let that sink in. This has been something that people have talked about not only for years, but for decades. The idea that people come here pretending to be a tourist, pretending to be a visitor, saying they want to go to Disneyland, they want to go visit a monument or go to a national park, but the real reason they're here is to have a child, to make that child an automatic citizen, leave our country, and then have a U.S. citizen.
Do you personally know someone that has done that? Or have you heard about someone locally that chose to, perhaps they have family members coming in just to have a baby so that they can have citizenship? What about people that marry individuals from other countries? Sometimes it's an arranged agreement for money. Do you agree with that? Do you agree?
Citizen child, it gives them access under this broken system to welfare benefits, ultimately to the voting booth, and all the other rights and privileges that belong solely to Americans. So that practice of birth tourism is, as of the signing of this order, hereby banned. And what that means is that no one in the world.
Guys, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. We have so much to cover today when it comes to the United States of America, and especially when it comes to the president.
Is any more allowed to obtain a visa for this fraudulent purpose? It is probably, and President Trump has done many historic things on immigration, too many to list now, sealed the southern border shut, record deportations, record integrity, stopping foreign terrorist entry, record reduction in drug seizures, dismantling criminal cartels, dismantling the gangs, right? Everything he's done that has been so unprecedented, I would put this in the top 3 in terms of importance, because it ends what has been one of the gravest and most egregious abuses of the American system, and it keeps American citizenship sacred.
Thank you. Okay.
Oh my, look at here. Look what Remedy has to say. She said there was this guy that was trying to have his friend marry my sister for citizenship. Wow. So we hear about certain situations that hit close to home. Columbus says, I know people who got pregnant to get free apartments. Oh my God. That's one for sure. Wow.
Mr. President.
That's big stuff. That's a big deal.
Mr.
Please,
President.
go ahead.
Thank you. On the birth tourism executive order, what are the plans for enforcement in terms of cracking down on birth tourism hotels that's common in parts of
So we're
California?
cracking down very big crackdowns, and this will give us the right to do it in a much more forceful manner. But they've taken birthright citizenship and they've made a joke out of it, and we're actually the only country of size.
The president says he's had enough. He's had enough. He's not taking it anymore. So they're going to implement all of these restrictions on people trying to have a baby in the United States just for citizenship and free programs. This is what he says.
I think just about the only country, period, that does birthright citizenship. I thought we were going to win it at the Supreme Court.
All right, guys. Cap says the people here already need to go also. All right.
Unfortunately, we had a bad decision, very unfair decision. Our country suffers because of it, and we're ending it a different way.
Mr. President.
I'm sorry, guys. We have a shortage of moderators right now. Sorry about that.
Mr. President, at the Supreme Court, John Sauer, the Solicitor General, did not have an answer as to how many individuals take advantage of birth tourism. Is there a number that you can
I'll tell you
cite?
right now, hundreds of thousands, okay? Hundreds of thousands. You have...
Just for the record, lately, because of the nature of some of the topics like Nolan Wells and so forth, we get a lot of people coming in. I'm not a big fan of throwing people out, but if they're extremely disrespectful, then I would say they should be temporarily restricted or something of the sort. But hopefully people can behave and we can have conversations. I'm all about most of the people that I find come into the chat and they have an issue with me. After a while, they tend to become some of my best followers, right? Because they start to realize I'm a real person here and I have a whole lot to think about, not just from my perspective, but from other people. So this is not a Democratic or Republican channel. This is a neutral channel, and we welcome everybody. Even though sometimes the subject matter, we have to talk about real things. This is all about people having an intellectual conversations. I want to welcome Commander and also Remedy as moderators.
One man came in with a family, said he had 56 children. Another one came in, they said they had 98 children. This was not what it was for. This was meant for the babies of slaves. It was right after 1 week or 2 weeks after the Civil War ended. This wasn't for wealthy multi-millionaires, billionaires coming in and bringing 15, 20, 30 children along with them. It's become a big business, and we're ending that business, please.
What makes you confident, Mr. President, that this will pass constitution?
Okay, I didn't get a chance to see what happened. I'm sorry, guys. Whatever happened in the chat, Deborah, you'll have to private message me and tell me about it. All right, thanks.
I think it will. I think, in fact, I asked a very talented person named Will Scharf, who's standing right behind me. Do you want to discuss that, Will? You felt pretty strongly about it.
The law is absolutely clear. What we're talking about, as Stephen said, with respect to birth tourism, something that used to happen incidentally, where somebody who happened to be on vacation here went into labor early and had a baby. This was sort of a relatively small problem. What we've seen in recent years, though, is organized rings, at times criminal rings, setting up a system whereby tens, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people can come to this country in an organized fashion and give birth here purely for the sake of obtaining birthright citizenship. This order takes a number of different actions intended to combat those sorts of organized practices. We look very heavily at denying visas to people that we have reason to believe are coming here for that purpose. Visas both for putative parents, but also for the people organizing these.
Okay, guys, Big Shaka says, if he's going to be honest, let's be honest about the Indians being reclassified as the Negro slaves. This country was indigenous Negro, and that's a fact. All right. Thank you for your comment, guys. Thanks for all the participation. By the way, tonight we're going to have a deep dive into Nolan Wells, where I'm going to really show you some information that you haven't seen before from people that were actually on the island. No doubt about it. We're not here to accuse anyone of anything, but we will continue to push back on misinformation. And also, after tonight, I'm going to start pushing back on TikTokers and all sorts of people that are just making up nonsense just to get clicks. We're just going to correct some of these terrible lies that are going around for no apparent reason.
Rings. There's also obviously a law enforcement component. We'll have a full fact sheet released on this soon, but what we're doing is taking legally validated means that are clearly within our disposal and targeting them square on to this birth tourism industry. There's absolutely nothing in here that runs afoul of.
I want to thank you, Deborah. I received your message. I saw those letters. I didn't know what was happening. Also, Commander, thank you for taking care of that.
Any of the Supreme Court's opinions on the subject. This is frankly, it's action that's overdue. And I'm thankful that President Trump is finally taking decisive action to combat this issue of birth tourism now that it's been queued up in the way that it has as a result of the Supreme Court's opinion.
This should have been done a long time ago. This should have happened years ago, but
you know, this is very reminiscent of what's happening now with the Haitians in regards to the TPS running out. You know, a lot of these individuals, now I've been to Haiti, and let me tell you something. When I came back, it took me a while to get over it. I saw women and children living in the woods and sleeping on cardboard. That was the best they had to sleep on. I saw some things that I'll never forget in Haiti. But let me tell you something. A lot of these children of Haiti individuals, Haitians, they were born here in the United States and have enjoyed a pretty good life, I would imagine. And now a lot of these individuals have to go back to Haiti or go to Haiti for the first time. What do you guys think in regards to that? It's a very serious matter, but what is your position?
we're taking care of it now, please.
Thank you. Can you help us understand
Shout out to Elizabeth.
how you distinguish between a tourist and a birth tourist?
Well, I'll let you discuss it, please.
Yes, happy to. And so, by the way, that's an excellent presentation.
Thank you,
Will.
Stephen.
Oh my, look what Mama Flip said. Oh my goodness. Would you believe Mama Flip said this? She says, I muted the orange one so I can't hear a word. But regarding the birthright, as another person said, I wipe my bleep with the EO. Okay. All right. Go easy on the president. He's trying to, well, I don't want to get Mama Flip started. Let me be cool.
For those of you who want to do your research on this, Section 215A of the Immigration and Nationality Act gives the president this authority. 215A of the Immigration and Nationality Act. Very rarely used, probably one of the strongest laws in the entire federal code, gives him this power. And that's not the only, but it's the main statutory authority that's being used in this order. So
all right, put a 1 in the chat if you agree with Mustang. Mustang says those with children should be grandfathered in. What do you guys think in regards to that?
tourism is by definition.
Put a 1 in the chat if you think the children should be grandfathered in and safe. Put a 2 if you disagree. Put a 3 if you don't care either way.
Fraud on the American system, on the American taxpayer, on the American visa. If you're coming here, and again, your stated purpose is that you're a tourist, then by definition, you are here to come for a few weeks, look what we have, engage in commerce, and leave. So if you're telling it.
All right, the no's are coming in. The no's are coming in. We only have one person that agree with you right now, Mustang. It's not looking good.
Consular officer, you're here as a tourist. But your true purpose and intent is to go to a baby mill, give birth, and try to mint an American citizen while you're here, then you're committing a fraud against the American government. And by definition, that
Brenda says, they're all grifters, send them all home. All right.
can and should and will be now denied.
Mr. President, there is a report that you told donors that they need to get J.D. Vance elected in 2028. Is that your official endorsement?
No. I heard about it a little while ago. I think he's great, but we're way too early to even be.
You hear that, right? You hear what the president, every time he gets asked about JD Vance, he hasn't said yes yet, right? There has to be a reason for that. I personally think when it comes to the Republican Party, I think Marco Rubio is probably a stronger pick. That's just my observation. But we'll see what happens. To this day, we don't have a strong Democratic candidate. Who do you guys have? Who do we have? What's his name? Newsom, right? Is that who you have? Mama Flips, who does the Democrats have as a candidate already for the next cycle, right? That's trouble when you don't have even a strong candidate in the air already.
Thinking about that. Okay?
And Mr. President, Republicans are arguing a lot right now about affordability. What is your message on affordability going into the midterm?
Well, that's a good question, but it's sort of.
All right, no spam in the chat. If you get too many spams going, unfortunately, we have to let you go. We want to see everybody's comments. I'm trying to read the comments, so please don't spam. We have a rowdy crowd today.
Simple to answer. I inherited the highest prices ever. I inherited the worst inflation in the history of our country. And we have done an amazing job. And oil prices now are coming down very rapidly. If you look at what's going on, it's down to 75. When I started the very important excursion into the Islamic Republic of Iran, it was a very important excursion because they can't have a nuclear weapon. Otherwise, the whole world would get blown up. We're not going to let that happen. Not only us, not only the Middle East, the whole world would have been catastrophic. We had no choice. We had oil down to less than two, in many places like Iowa. Oil was down to, gasoline was down at numbers that people hadn't seen in years. $1.85, $1.95, so it passed two.
Ooh, do you guys remember that? Within the last few months, we had fuel down to 185 in some states. I didn't know it came down that low, right? According to the president.
I was in Iowa at a stop, and we had 195, another one 185 a gallon, and we'll see those days pretty soon again, based on everything I see. As soon as the war ends, and
man, I haven't seen those numbers since what 30 years ago, right? So according to him, he's brought fuel down. Before he took the excursion into Iran, he's saying that he brought the down to 185 a gallon. Wow.
I think it's going to end pretty soon. I don't think they can go much longer. Yeah, please.
Has a deal been reached to reopen the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, I don't want to say it has been. It's sort of open right now. You know, we have a thing called the blockade headed up by the U.S. Navy, and we control it. And now we control it, but they can always shoot something. They always have something or drop a mine. And if you have one mine sitting out there, you sort of mess things up because people don't want to take their billion-dollar boats and accidentally get hit by a mine. But I think we're doing very well. I just, I'm involved in the negotiation.
Timothy says the most corrupt president in 250 years. Well, I'll say happy birthday.
I think we're doing fine. It could be soon, yeah.
Mr. President, have you lobbied any of the undecided Republicans who will vote tomorrow on Todd Blanche's nomination?
I will lobby if I need to. I will lobby very.
Now, I had a chance to meet Todd Blanche when he covered the president's case here in New York. I covered these high-profile cases: President Trump, Sean Diddy Combs, Harvey Weinstein. I travel here and there to cover these cases, but Todd Blanche actually defended the president when he received those 34 felonies here in New York. They're state charges, so he can't even have them wiped clean. It looks like he'll have to have those on his jacket forever based on what we are seeing. But many people are saying that these are fake charges, that basically they had to tie in with Stormy Daniels just to be able to try to prevent the president from becoming the president, which we see that failed. We also saw that shots were taken at him. It seems like every month, right? I guess it's fair to say that every month someone has tried to take shots at the president. I think last week, or actually this week, right? I have to go back, but they stopped an individual that was trying to set up for when the president was going to California to play golf. So why is it that we're having so many of these occurrences? And also, you know what a real big question is when it comes to the president of the United States? Everybody want to know, why do some people feel like a lot of these shootings or attempts are staged? Remember the incident that happened near me in Pennsylvania, where the president was shot in the ear? A lot of people say that's staged. Why do they say that? Right? A person even lost his life, right? And his wife has come forward, and his wife actually says that she feels like the government had something to do with it. What does that mean? What about the dinner that the individual tried to run in and take some shots at the president and some of the individuals that were there? I find it quite amazing that they had the president of the United States and the vice president sitting on the same stage. Like that should be a protocol, that you can't have both of them in the building. Because imagine if something had happened, who would have really took over the country, right? So I noticed when they had the second dinner, they said, well, JD Vance couldn't be there. Well, that makes sense, but that should have been the same way before. Here I can kind of talk about it now, but when that dinner happened, there was an individual that came on this channel the week prior and was giving threats to the president of the United States. So when that happened over the weekend, that same Saturday, we started to realize, and even some of the moderators and people here, we started to realize that I guess those threats were true. The FBI got involved, so that was a process. But that's just to tell you some of the people that we have here in the chat. I found out this morning from Calvin that we have a high-profile judge that watches this show, and Calvin is a high-power attorney. And the judge actually told Calvin, you know, I see you on the show with Mel. And I'm like, wow, we have a lot of people tuning in. Last night, I think we had 30-some thousand people here. And for the show we had Sunday night, we had 37,000, 39,000 people. So who knows the amount of people that we have tuning in. All right. So it's amazing that we have amazing people, but we want to be respectful. So I would like to remind everybody, as much as you can, try to welcome everybody. Even though people have a different religion, they have a different skin color, all these differences, we should be able to find a way to have great times and great conversations. We have amazing people. In a way, we've become a watching the world family. So please try to be peaceable with everybody as much as you can. I can take those hits, but be kind to the people in the chat. All right. I'll give you guys a lot of passes when it comes to me. I'm okay. I've heard it all. But let's keep pushing that way. Let's get back to this whole storyline in regards to the president of the United States. But now we're going to look at something a little bit different. Trump fires back because some people, the Democrats, they say, have been saying for the most part that we don't have as much ammunition because of the war in Iran. Well, the president actually pushed back on that. Okay, so let's check it out.
President Trump pushing back after reports claim the U.S. was dangerously low on weapons in its fight against Iran. Listen.
We have certain types of munitions that are very powerful, that we have virtual unlimited supply. We have others where it's a little bit tighter, and we're getting them in on a daily basis. As you know, our defense companies are building more plants right now than at any point in history. They're building plants for the Patriots, for the Tomahawks, for everything.
Retired Navy SEAL and host of the Everyday Warrior podcast, Mike Sorelli, joins me now. Mike, I use the past tense, but we very well could need more weapons going forward. I mean, the pattern suggests that we will.
Guys, we have over 1,000 people on all platforms. Please hit the like button, share, and subscribe. If you're tuning in from Twitter or X, feel free to come over to YouTube and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you. We do this every day. Typically news at noon at Eastern Standard Time. Then at night at 8 p.m., we have deep dives. We're still covering Nolan Wells. And tonight, I promise you, the information that I have on Nolan Wells, nobody else has it. And a lot of people are distributing the information we share at night, but I'll let them live. It's okay. We get no credits here, but we keep bringing you information from real research in regards to this matter.
Your read on the weapons stockpile.
You know, where does the truth lie here? But I'm going to look beyond that. Necessity is the mother of all invention. America does it better than anyone. We are already innovating. We're pushing the American industrial base to become innovative, to come up with new solutions to the evolving warfare that we're seeing. And that's a beautiful thing. So when we see problems, America moves on solutions. I don't fear that the munitions that we have can get the job done in Iran. And again, we have a large arsenal. It's just not the military.
Thank you very much, Brenda, for subscribing to the channel. I really do appreciate you.
It's the economic, it's the diplomacy, it's the information, it's cyber warfare. We can hit Iran from many different directions where they cannot hit us in a similar fashion. So even if munitions are low, we get innovative in our approach on how to defeat this evil regime, and we will be victorious.
But I guess my question is, let's assume that part of the argument is correct, that we are low.
Thank you, Vada.
Why can't we mobilize? You look at Ukraine, they literally have been in a war for 4 years. They have nothing, yet they are outputting these drones at a record pace.
Guys, we look at Fox, we look at CNN. Before this show is over, we're going to look at MS Now. We look at it all. We try to come to a reasonable conclusion about what's happening in our country and around the world. Thank you.
We're the United States. We literally have more capacity than anybody. What are our industrial titans doing right now?
So you're absolutely right. Ukraine produces about 8 million drones a year. China's even larger than that. We are well below that. We've recognized that. We are
Ukraine produces 8 million drones a year and China does more. Can you imagine that?
Moving. We know that drone warfare is the future of warfare. It's completely changed everything. And Ukraine has become like the Silicon Valley of warfare. So we're moving. And that's a positive thing. We know America can move.
Listen, whether you want to believe it or not, there's a rumor that Iran has drones stationed in Cuba, right? Now, some people push back on that, but Cuba is not that far from the United States. So keep in mind some of the threats that are real in this world. And so when we look at the, as they say, we'll call it the activity, we won't even call it a war in Iran because so many people say, oh, it's not a war. But whatever it is, it's still a major threat, whether you like it or not.
Move at a speed that no other country can. We just need to identify the problem, look at solutions, and then, again, galvanize our industrial base to push. World War II is a perfect example.
I mean, we had women coming off of their time as housewives and mobilizing our nation to win a war. We have a lot more people now. We have a lot more resources. We should be able to do it again, right?
Hey, if Susie Riveter wants to come back, let's do it. We need our brave women to push forward alongside with us.
I want you guys to put a 1 in the chat if you think we're low on ammunition. If you think there's some a little spark of truth. Put a 2 if you think it's just propaganda. Put a 3 if you just don't know. Let's see what you guys have to say. And thank you for your participation.
And be part of the solution. But we're going to solve this at the end of the day. Don't ever discount America to move.
Want to get your thoughts on what's something that is very, very personal to you. We're, of course, talking about the 15th anniversary of the Extortion 17 tragedy, which was the deadliest single incident for American forces during the war in.
Okay, most people, shout out to you, K10, welcome. Most people, hey, Stanley, most people feel like it's just propaganda. Thank you.
Afghanistan. Exactly what happened on August 6th, 2011.
One of the worst days for my team and quite a few families, 31 families. We had a group of SEALs that were answering the call. There was also Air Force Tier 1 operators and, of course, the brave Army aviators that were flying them in. Rangers were on the ground. They needed assistance.
Unfortunately, guys, we have to keep moving. Now we're going to take a look at Fauci. Fauci has been held in contempt. Let's get to it.
Federal sources telling Fox News ICE made roughly 51,000 immigration arrests.
Put a yes in the chat if you're happy with Fauci. Put a no if you aren't. Thank you.
In July. So that's more than 1,600 per day. It marks the highest single month of arrests the agency has ever recorded. ICE has been steadily ramping up arrests during President Trump's second term. The White House has reportedly pushed immigration officials to aim for 2,000 arrests a day.
So meanwhile, open to seeing that, but I would like to do this without objection.
Without objection. Seeing no other motions, the question is on reporting of an original resolution regarding.
If I may, Mr. Chairman. Go ahead.
Seeing no other motions, the question is on reporting of an original resolution regarding contempt of Congress. The clerk will call the roll.
Senator Johnson.
Yes.
Senator Langford.
Aye.
Senator Scott.
Yes.
Senator Hawley.
Aye.
Senator Moreno.
On behalf of the millions of people harmed by Anthony Fauci, resoundingly yes.
This is starting to get scary for Fauci, right? Looks like he's headed into a dark place.
Senator Ernst. Aye. Senator Moody. Aye. Senator Peters.
No.
Senator Hassan.
No.
Senator Blumenthal.
No.
Senator Fetterman.
No.
Senator Kim.
No.
Senator Gallego.
No by proxy.
Senator Slotkin.
No by proxy.
Senator Paul.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, on the vote of those present, the yeas are 8, the nays are 5. On the vote by proxy, and for the record only, the yeas are 0, the nays are 2. On this vote, the yeas are 8, the nays are 5, and the motion is agreed to.
Mr. Chairman, pursuant to committee
recognized you.
Mr. Chairman.
We've had ample remarks on this. The chair will limit remarks to 2 minutes. I will give you another chance to state your opinion, which has been amply stated. You have 2 minutes.
Well, based on the comments, it's fair to say a lot of people are not happy with Anthony Fauci. I mean, this situation, I don't want to name it because YouTube is not friendly with the word for that pandemic, but a lot of people lost their lives. But it was a tough moment. Continue to tell us how you felt about it.
Minutes.
Well, Mr. Chairman, pursuant to Committee Rule 6B and Senate Rule 26, Section 10C, I'm notifying you that I intend to file minority views regarding this resolution.
The clerk will report the conclusion of the vote.
Just did.
And that it is reported favorably. The committee will now proceed to consideration of S4505, a bill to require the U.S. Postal Service to designate zip codes for certain communities. Senator Ernst.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, so we just watched live there on Capitol Hill this Senate committee voting to hold.
Put a 1 in the chat if you think Fauci's going to jail. Put a 2 if not. Put a 3 if you are undecided.
Dr. Anthony Fauci in contempt of
Hello, M. Wallen.
Congress. This all coming after he didn't answer questions last week pertaining to the COVID-19 pandemic. He invoked his Fifth Amendment right over 100 times. So this is this breaking news that we're following here in Washington, D.C. And of course, we're waiting to see on social media if we're going to get any lawmaker reaction here coming out of Capitol Hill. But once again, this Senate committee voting to hold Dr. Fauci in contempt of Congress. What does that mean? Contempt of Congress refers to the act of defying Congress by ignoring a subpoena or refusing to cooperate with an investigation. Now, this can include not showing up for a hearing, refusing to testify, or failing to turn over requested records. But once again, this all coming here after we saw Dr. Fauci invoke that Fifth Amendment right just last week at that hearing.
I guess when you serve in that type of position, though, to plead the Fifth, that gets tough, especially when so many people lost their lives. I get it, but it's a tough situation. You know, let's take a quick look back at what's happening with ICE.
ICE scoring a major legal win yesterday. Federal judge halting a New York state law that bans agents from wearing face masks. This after the Trump team sued to block the ban, arguing it's an illegal push to regulate the federal government.
When we covered, you can ask Mama Flips, when we covered Sean Diddy Combs' trial in New York City, ICE was actually involved because there were so many protests at the time. And they would roll up in these vans and jump out and they'd have masks on their faces, right? A lot of people did not like that, right? Especially living in a day and time when people like to wear masks and do nefarious things. So this is a verdict on what happened in regards to this case.
Brian Yanis on that story. The latest in New York City. Brian, good morning.
Bill, good morning. And it's not just masks. A federal judge has also temporarily blocked New York's law requiring federal agents to wear visible ID badges. Judge May D'Agostino ruling that under the Constitution's Supremacy Clause, New York State cannot control how federal agents do their job.
Do you guys agree with this? Are you okay with ICE or anybody rolling up on you, asking you questions or seeking to arrest you, right? Especially coming to your door. Imagine you come to your door and there's masked people just rolling up with guns. What do you guys think about that?
Jobs, meaning at least for now, ICE, FBI, DEA, and Customs and Border Protection officers can wear masks and don't have to wear IDs in New York. In a preliminary ruling, the judge said about an agent's personal decision to wear masks, quote,
Now, let's keep in mind, we're not talking about, because we just covered Fauci, a lot of people are thinking about face masks. We're talking about the actual mask that the bank robbers use, pretty synonymous of those type of masks.
Individual choices of some federal officers do not open the floodgates to direct state regulation of federal law enforcement operations and policy. The judge refused, however, to block the Termination Act, which bans local counties and cities from cooperating with ICE. The law takes effect August 25th and ends Nassau County's partnership with ICE, including giving ICE a permanent presence at the county jail. Nassau County Executive and Republican gubernatorial candidate Bruce Blakeman strongly opposes the Termination Act.
Why is Kathy Hochul doing everything in her power to make it less safe to live in New York State?
So he's upset with Hochul, but what about Mamdani? We're going to get to him next. New Yorkers are so upset with him.
By cooperating with ICE agents, in my county alone, we removed 2,000 illegal migrants with criminal records.
In a joint statement, Governor Kathy Hochul and Attorney General Letitia James say, quote, local law enforcement should be focused on local matters and New York taxpayers should not have to foot the bill for any collaboration with ICE.
Okay, guys, we have to keep moving. We're running out of time, but now we're going to take a look at the whole situation in regards to the polls in regards to President Trump.
A big show tonight. We begin with the storm of problems raining on Donald Trump and the GOP with less than 3 months.
They say MAGA is turning their back on President Trump. Do you think that's real or fake? Tell me what you think.
For the midterms tonight, Trump facing a massive polling crash, rising gas prices, an unpopular war of choice, and a MAGA revolt by some of his closest MAGA allies.
Well, we just heard the president say that he's been behind some of the best gas prices we've seen in years. Unfortunately, right now, because of the situation in Iran, things are different. But he says pretty soon we'll be back to those days. But we're hearing something different here.
Allies and voters. Look at this. Trump's approval rating is now at the lowest point of his second term, according to newly released average from prominent pollster Nate Silver. His average approval has sunk to 38%, the lowest.
Most people are saying that this is fake, but we're going to watch it either way.
Lowest number any president has faced at this point in his second term since Harry Truman. Some polls have him as low as 32%. His average disapproval sits at 58%, also the worst of his second term. And this probably won't help at all. Trump telling supporters at a rally last night, quote, we may have to send oil prices higher amid the Iran war, implicitly taking ownership of high gas prices. And it's not just Trump, though. His own Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, making headlines by downplaying income inequality. Bessent rejecting the term K-shaped economy, shorthand for the income gap. Watch what he said compared to what multiple Trump voters told MS Now's Alex Tabbitt.
I got sick of hearing about this K-shaped economy.
You can't save now. Every dollar you have has to go to gas, groceries, bills, rent.
I can say here definitively the K-shaped economy is over.
You know, you can't do anything with gas prices, and you just can't afford to breathe at this point.
And we're seeing more of a C economy where the lower end of wage earners are finally calling it back, just like they did in President Trump's first term.
Low class might as well, crawl in a hole,
because they can't afford anything.
It's not just a few Trump voters, though. Trump is also dealing with a new revolt from exiled MAGA members, led by Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and others. They seem to be considering the launch of a MAGA alternative, arguing Trump has, quote, betrayed America. Carlson also releasing a 10-point manifesto for how to rebuild the country after the president is done wrecking it, as the Daily Beast puts it. Carlson then blasting Trump on camera.
So you have the president of the United States, whatever they tell you.
I never thought I'd see the day when Tucker Carlson would turn his back on President Trump. In fact, he was a key ingredient in the success of President Trump when he weathered the storm of a legal case, and he's been impeached. He was shot at, all sorts of things. And now you see these key individuals turning.
Openly threatening the use of nuclear weapons in a conflict that has no immediate or obvious resolutions. You've already proven yourself incapable of leadership because that's crazy. That's beyond reckless. That's, well, it's literally suicidal and homicidal.
Now, Trump is also reportedly taking his anger directly to members of his own cabinet. The Washington Post reporting on a clash in which Trump pressed his Pentagon chief Pete Hegseth over America's dwindling munitions. Trump reportedly demanding answers on the, quote, extreme munition shortages that now threaten to limit military options with Iran. The White House denies the exchange occurred, but it's all context for the GOP's.
You know, the president often says that during his first administration that he put record money into building up our military. I find it hard to believe that now we're so short on ammunition based on our activity in Iran. Do you really believe that? Tell us all about it.
Growing midterm fears. Politico reporting on a closed-door Senate GOP meeting where the big question was, when is Trump going to focus on the midterms and take the advice of his own team? One Republican senator asking, quote, when Trump would...
Guys, I actually went to, and I've said this before, I went to the deposition for the Clintons. I actually saw the Clintons. It was my second time seeing Bill Clinton, by the way. But anyway, one of the things that I kept hearing from the media and also from some of the committee members is that basically the Democrats are going to win the midterm elections. And the first order of business is to depose President Trump and also his wife based on the Epstein files. And then the second order of business is to impeach Donald Trump. So it looks like if the Democrats win bigly during the midterm election, which is just a couple months away, we're going to go back to war in Washington. We'll see how this all plays out, but I'm here for it, here at Watching the World.
Start attacking Democrats instead of attacking Republicans. Things are not much better over in the House. Axios reporting on Democrats' improving map. Quote, 4 scandal-plagued House Republicans whose seats should be gimmies for the GOP have instead turned their races into unexpected battlegrounds. And that's where we start tonight. Trouble surrounding Trump and the GOP just 3 months from the midterms. Joining me now is Molly Jong-Fast, contributor writer for the New York Times, host of Fast Politics podcast, and MS Now political analyst Rick Wilson, co-founder of the Lincoln Project and political strategist who has worked on multiple Republican presidential campaigns. Molly, Rick, thank you both for joining here this evening. Molly, let's start with you here. Taking all of this together, the numbers don't look good for Republicans. Donald Trump, the head of their party, is in denial over his polling. What would you tell Democrats, though, who may be getting ahead of themselves about what they should be cautious for at this point?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think right now what Democrats need to focus on is getting sort of solidarity after some bruising primaries. What needs to happen now is that the loser in the primary needs to endorse the winner. That needs to happen in Michigan. That happened in Texas. Those kind of things. The Democrats need to get together and sort of, even though there's a lot happening in the Democratic Party right now, but right before the midterms, and we're like a little bit less than 90 days from the midterms, Democrats really need to be focused on unity, on turning out their voters, on exciting their base, which is excited, and about, getting voter turnout and making sure that the midterms are safe. Because remember, there's a lot of voter intimidation.
Okay, guys, here's a good comment. Battle says, step number one is recognizing that we made a mistake, the left and the right. What a great comment.
Coming from the Republican side and a lot of, sort of stuff coming from Trump world that, is problematic for any stretch of reasons.
So, Rick, on the other side of this, we reported at MS Now that associates of Trump's own political operation understand he's not going to perfectly echo the GOP strategic messaging campaign. He's going to say whatever he feels like saying on any given day. But what would you tell the Senate GOP over their meeting in which they were expressing concerns about Trump and the lack of seriousness in which he has taken the midterms here?
I mean, have they not met him? This is a man who does not think about the Republican Party.
Okay, guys, Stanley says they need to interview a non-biased network, unlike MSNBC. Okay, we have to keep moving. We have so much to cover here. Now we're going to take a look at how Mamdani here in New York, the new mayor, how he's been booed off the stage.
Happening right now in New York City, Zohran Mamdani, the mayor, after some of the many harsh, awful things he said about the New York police in the past, came back to haunt him. Here he is getting booed in New York City.
It don't look good, folks. It don't look good.
And apparently this smile is not how he's feeling on the inside. Cover the New York Post today. Mayor Zoflake is the headline. The smiling socialist media, social media socialist is apparently thin-skinned, Lawrence, petty.
These people want him out of here. A lot of people are complaining because now in the streets of New York, you see people actually praying everywhere in the streets. I hear that's probably one of the biggest complaints. For years, I lived in New York. I never saw anyone praying in the streets. Not that I'm complaining, but I'm just telling you, this is something that you see very common now.
And petty behind the scenes, according to insiders. And he's letting a lot of this get to him, and he's not as strong on the inside as he's putting himself off on the outside.
So we're finally getting the leaks. I was wondering when it was going to start happening. The problem is when it comes to Zohran Mamdani, he doesn't show it publicly. The guy is always smiling. He's very charismatic, and that's how he got a lot of people to be fooled. I will say this. I don't know what he was thinking. Y'all ever see the movie Copland? That is Staten Island. Why you would dare step foot in Staten Island after trying to defund the police, getting rid of police academies in New York City.
Sophie's World says his eyes look blank and evil. All right.
Backing essentially the criminals in this city when it comes to getting them more rights. I just don't understand his calculation, but the smile never faded, Griff.
Yeah, I mean, what did he think was going to happen when he goes to an NYPD night out event after all the criticism and still to this day won't talk about funding the SRT? Look, some of the greatest cops live in Staten Island, to your point. And Mamdani's spokeswoman did send a statement to the New York Post talking about the leak, saying the mayor's focus has and always will be how best to deliver for New York.
No Shoes says freebies over, time to go home.
And he sees our city and state elected officials as valuable partners in building a safer and more affordable city.
That was a quick reaction to this report that he's thin-skinned, right? But I mean, I went and pulled.
So we're going to keep you abreast to what's happening in regards to Mamdani here in New York. But now we have to talk about a dope smoking pastor preacher, Reverend Deacon Dr. Doug. Let's check it out.
I want to take you out to Polk County, Florida. That is where the sheriff, Grady Judd, giving an update on what he is calling a Florida dope-smoking pastor accused of sexually abusing a teen and exposing him to HIV. Let's listen in.
Oh, my God. What is going on?
United American Free Will Baptist Church. And you can see that the preacher is Timothy Cheneyfield. He's 42 years of age. But let me show you his picture.
Damn.
This is the preacher.
Ugh.
And you go, okay. He's also a child pedophile, a predator. In addition to being a preacher at this church, he's also a chaplain for Compassionate Care Hospice.
Oh, no.
And if that's not enough, between 2012 and about 2024, he worked for the school system in Polk County. Between 2012 and 2016, he was both a para and a substitute teacher. Then he went into IT, and he worked there until about 2024, and about that time is when he became the lead pastor for St. James.
What?
So why do I tell you all of that? Well, because when he was at the schools, he was at Crystal Lake Middle School. We know that he stalks children. How we got into this investigation was simply this. We received a cyber tip from Instagram that there was illicit, inappropriate activity between an adult and a child.
You know, when I pulled this out, I thought it was this other pastor that I saw, and they have a snippet of him just preaching. He's going to town. He's caught up in similar charges this week, but this is another pastor. My heavens.
It first went to the Auburndale Police Department. They determined this was in the unincorporated area and immediately called us, and immediately we started our investigation. And what we found is that Timothy Cheneyfield went online with a dating app in search of children. And that's what he found, was a 14-year-old child. Did you hear what I said? A little boy. Then they moved from there over to the...
That's what happened with this other pastor that I'd seen this week. I thought it was actually his story. So this is a terrible situation.
Instagram app where they chatted more often. And then Timothy Cheneyfield picked him up in front of his neighborhood on 3 different occasions. And on those 3 different occasions, he wasn't preaching, but he was messing around. On 3 different occasions, he drove to the 14-year-old child's neighborhood, where the 14-year-old child met him at the entrance to the neighborhood. Timothy took the 14-year-old to his home, and when he took him to his home, he engaged the child in sex. So when the investigation came to us, we started intensely looking for Timothy, and we found out during this period of time that he was in Baltimore performing, apparently, a funeral for someone through his Compassionate Care Hospice work.
Let the dead bury the dead. My heavens.
He confessed. He confessed that he picked up this 14-year-old child on at least 3 different occasions, took him to Timothy's home in Eagle Lake, where he engaged this child in sex. But that wasn't it. That wasn't all. Timothy is HIV positive.
Oh my God.
He failed to tell this 14-year-old child that I'm HIV positive, and he had unprotected sex with a child. And
All right, so we get the point of that. We're just moving on, but obviously we need more awareness when it comes to this. The final story of today for News at Noon. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to see how Pete Hegseth is taking on heat because the military has moldy showers with no soap. What's happening in the military? One thing we started off with that we're low on ammunition, but apparently in the military, we're low on soap. We're low on soap, folks.
Welcome back. Just about the bottom of the hour. So we've got some new reporting first here on MS Now about the brutally demanding conditions that service members are facing overseas as we wait for some resolution to the war.
And guys, hit the like button, share, subscribe. We do this every day, news at noon Eastern Standard Time. Tonight, we have a great show about Nolan Wells. Tonight at 8 p.m., I have information that I promise you nobody else is really having to cover. Thank you.
With Iran. MS Now spoke with a dozen family members and sailors and Marines aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln, who say they're extremely concerned about the morale, safety, and conditions on that ship. The 5,000-person crew has been at sea for 9 straight months and engaged in combat operations since the beginning of the war against Iran, all the way back in February. Many family members describe their kids or spouses telling them about non-operational toilets, moldy showers, laundry facilities that were broken for weeks, and extended periods with no hot water for showering. The families say their loved ones have described food shortages and standing in line at the ship's
food shortages and a smelly place and moldy. What is happening? We need to hear from Steve Hexeth.
Store for an hour or more, even while it often lacks basic supplies like toothpaste, soap, and deodorant. Let's bring in MS Now Pentagon reporter Priya Sridhar, who broke that story. Former Acting Army Secretary Patrick Murphy also back with us. Priya, it's a great story. People think about service members, in this case sailors, in a combat zone. They, of course, think about the dangers the enemy may pose. They perhaps think less about just the conditions they have to live with each and every day. Sounding from your reporting.
Now, we've covered Fox for this hour quite extensively. We've covered some MS Now. Tell me in the chat, do you believe what MS Now is saying, or do you call propaganda?
Downright miserable, and at times maybe even dangerous.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And, the Lincoln just set a record in the Navy for having the most continuous days at sea, with more than 200 days underway. They left San Diego in November. They had a brief stop in Guam in December, and then they didn't stop for a port call again until early July, just briefly in Oman, where most of the sailors were able to get off the ship, but they had to stay in port. And really what the families were telling me is they're very worried about exhaustion here. Most of their family members are working 12 to 14-hour shifts. They're depending on their job. They're not getting any days off. And when you talk about a flight deck on an aircraft carrier, this is one of the most dangerous places in the military. You're having high-speed aircraft taking off and landing. You have munitions, weapons, and bombs being moved around at a very fast pace. And the service members are also being exposed to, really loud noises for a sustained period of time, which can really lead to long-term injuries like hearing loss. So when you're talking about exhaustion, when you're talking about low morale, because now this deployment has been extended for a second time and there's no end in sight, they're worried that those things could lead to accidents that could potentially even be deadly. I want you to take a listen to what some of them told me.
They didn't choose to be there. They volunteered to be there. They're willing to be there, and they're doing their best. So they want our support. And part of that support means we have to have the tools to do our job. That means the fuel. That means the food, right? That means the food. That means the toothpaste and the deodorant. That means all of it, right? Now,
I don't think it's the ship is the issue. I think it's our president. It's our government that's not helping the morale.
Oh boy, she said it's the president, right? She's blaming the president.
I think the ship is doing what they can do with what they're given. But I think our government needs to be doing more.
Guys, hit the like button, share, subscribe. We're about to close out the show. But thank you guys so much for all you do, especially for whoever's hitting the hearts. Thank you.
For our military that's sitting over there.
And so, you're hearing from them about exhaustion, but they're saying that, even at the end of their shifts, the fact that these sailors and Marines can't take showers, they can't wash their uniforms. I had some family members tell me that they believe that prisoners and inmates in jail are treated with more dignity and respect than our service members.
So, Patrick, let's get...
Service members are being treated worse than the inmates? Oh, my goodness. What's happening? What's the problem? Can somebody tell us what's a better way forward? I want to thank you guys so much for being here today. I want to make it very clear. Sometimes people come in for 5 seconds and they try to define the channel. You could go based on my appearance and according to your experience in life, you're going to grade me and say, well, this is a Democratic channel, or he looks like a Republican because he's wearing a red tie. Today I don't have it on, but typically I do, right? I'm here to tell you this channel is free and clear of that. We do touch on some tough situations because we're watching the world. And when you pull the lid off a lot of parts of the world and you pull back the covers, you see some terrible things, right? But the key here is that we try to get along and we try to have a meeting of the minds. I always welcome people to join the show. If you have something you want to say, please come on and talk about Nolan Wells. Tonight, we're going to really do a deep dive. I'm going to break down that case probably like nobody's else that you know of. But here's the thing. Whatever happened to him, we do not know without a shadow of a doubt. We leave that for the investigators, right? We can't go around and start saying, you know, I saw this in the case that I covered. People this week, they go to the neighbor and they tell you, oh, the neighbor 30 years ago, he ran off the road drinking and driving. Then they go to the next neighbor. Then they go to every boyfriend or girlfriend the person ever had. Then they go to the school teacher. Then they go to the first cousin. Then they go to the grandparents. And they keep going. And along the way, they dig up everybody's past, right? So it requires that we have some balance. Everybody wants to know what happened to Nolan Wells. Don't get me wrong. But we have to do this in a way that's responsible because we know that with numbers, bullying is a big problem and it could be a serious matter, especially when it affects people who are still very young. With that being said, we tend to focus on the facts. A lot of the facts that's being put out is misinformation and disinformation. So we take the time to simply just go back and show you, listen, this is what such and such said out of his mouth. Not what I'm saying. This is what he said, right? He said the boat was moved a quarter of a mile. So it wasn't by the shore. See, we go through and we compare the facts, right? Or last night, how about when I showed you guys that on page 14 of the independent report from the United Cajun Navy, they said, oh, well, that looks like Nolan at 4:50 p.m. And then you heard Nancy Grace, right? She said, and actually I reached out to them, by the way. Nancy Grace says, yeah, this is a man, you know, obviously you can't totally tell, but last night I showed you it's a female. Yeah, it's a black female. It can't be Nolan unless he had a set of breasts. And we know that that's not the case, folks. But we get people spinning all these narratives that can be troublesome when you're trying to figure out a real case. In fact, the misinformation sends people on a wild goose chase, and now people, they come into the chat and they'll say, 4:50, Nolan was on the island. I know for sure. You're wrong. You know, they're just going off of what they heard. We break down the facts over here without trying to tell you, or we try not to do anything that just push people off the map for no apparent reason. But if the authorities come through and they have a valid explanation of what happened, then we'll definitely factor that in. But we're watching the end results and we want to make sure we keep them honest, okay? So that's what we do. I want to make it very clear. This is no attempt to try to identify or whatever. We're here to try to get some justice for Nolan. And I do understand that a lot of people that are watching, they want to use the legal system as a way to intimidate intelligent people who are trying to ask intelligent questions. So the days have changed now, and there's so many people pushing for justice. So you can't use the legal system as a way to bully people either. And so let's make that clear. Let's be very clear, but we have to do so responsibly. And also, we get so many people, like last night when I was actually going through a lot of the facts, we get people coming in and all they do is talk this name calling. I call it very low budget thinking. I wonder where these people are located. Sometimes I wonder, is it real people at all? So let's be responsible moving forward. This channel, there's no type of filter that you have to go through to become a moderator, or you have to be a certain complexion. You have to be quite frankly, The top supporter of this channel is white males over 55. That's what it is, folks. That's what it is. That's YouTube actually gives me, and I get a chance to see who the top viewers are, right? You'd be shocked. And it's so amazing to have people. It just speaks a lot as far as the channel is concerned. I want to thank you so much. Last week I had a rapper, a big name rapper that I actually met during the Diddy trial. I made a statement, and when I was coming up, he was the best rapper ever. I would still say, even though he's a little whatever now, it's amazing that he follows this channel. But he actually reached out to me and he said that I go too soft on Nolan Wells and I need to be more assertive and more aggressive. So I told him, listen, that's just not my style, but I will follow the facts, right? I thought it was so amazing to know that we have all types of people. Calvin told me just this morning, we have judges that are following this channel and they know who watching the world, and they know that Calvin has a show with a guy named Mel. And they always say he wears that New York Yankee hat. It is what it is, folks. Thank you very much. And we'll see you tonight at 8 o'clock to talk about Nolan Wells at a level that's beyond compare. But we're going to do so responsibly. But I'm going to show you the actual people that were there on the island and what they had to say as far as who was where and who left at what time. And also they have facts. The lady has facts of when the fight occurred and what may have happened. I'm going to show you in the words of some of these young people involved, and I'm going to tie it all together. I've been working on this tremendously, and tonight I look forward to sharing it with you. Thank you to everybody that chose to be here with me today at noon, because I realized you could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be watching the world with us. One family. Thank you.
Different voices, but the same song. Loving a world where we all belong. Kindness leading the way, breaking the chains. In the symphony of love, the theme remains. Embracing diversity, brighter days in sight. Watching the world sharing love and light. Peaceful flight, colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. The colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.